After a refreshing shower and donning his new uniform, Wyatt couldn't shake the feeling that, while everything seemed new, it was mostly the same old uniform. The change felt great, but it was also daunting. The new badges and insignia that marked his rank as a lieutenant only highlighted how unprepared he felt for this responsibility. The first realization that hit him was his lack of knowledge about who exactly he had saved. The prince had clearly stated that Wyatt's actions had saved a member of the royal family. But which one? The prince had several siblings, 4 younger brothers and 3 younger sisters. Had he saved one of them? 2? All? And there were other noble families and distant relatives involved as well. He didn't particularly care who it was, but it did add a layer of complexity to his situation. His newfound position was a direct result of his actions, and it seemed only right to offer his thanks to whoever he had helped. The second, and more pressing, realization was how unprepared he was to be a lieutenant. His officer training had been limited, and while he understood the chain of command, commanding anything beyond his ship's outdated AI was a different matter. He was unsure of the protocols, the chain of command, and the specifics of his new duties. Redford's parting words echoed in his mind, filling him with anxiety about the path he had unwittingly stepped onto. As he made his way to the bridge, he longed for the dull, repetitive security of his old post. Now he faced the possibility of fighting and potentially dying for a noble family, feeling a sense of foreboding. Yet, he reassured himself with the thought that the prince seemed to be a leader who inspired confidence, unlike the insufferable Thomas Caston from his past. A sudden, monotone voice from the ship's AI interrupted his thoughts. "Lieutenant Wyatt Staples, report to the bridge," it said before cutting off. With a resigned sigh, Wyatt prepared himself for his new duties. Navigating through the ship to the bridge was straightforward, and Wyatt was met with a curious mix of salutes and glances from the crew. The respect accorded to his new rank was strange and somewhat uncomfortable. Upon reaching the bridge, he was greeted by a scene of intense activity. Crew members were bustling about, engaged in various tasks, and the atmosphere was charged with focus and urgency. Wyatt spotted Commander Redford and several other high-ranking individuals gathered near the prince. Following protocol, he saluted and announced his presence. "Lieutenant Wyatt Staples reporting, my liege." The response he received was a mix of disdain, surprise, and curiosity. The scrutiny from the officers, who seemed to view him as an anomaly, was palpable. A red-haired man with a burned scar on his left cheek broke the tension with a comment. "So it is true, a commoner has been granted a rank far above his station. My prince, are you certain of your decision? The implications could be bothersome to less open-minded individuals." The prince's voice was calm and resolute. "Are you implying that I should not show my gratitude to the man who saved my beloved sister?" The red-haired man laughed, a sound of reluctant acceptance. "Of course not, Your Majesty." Commander William Hempstroke, a striking figure with blue hair and eyes, interjected with a hint of amusement. "Is the rescue of a royal princess not enough merit to overlook this one incident? Many houses have their origins in the valiant actions of a commoner performing beyond their duty." Another voice, that of the older man in a predominantly white uniform, with red trims and an array of medals, cut through the debate. "Enough prattle, everyone. We have more important matters to attend to. My liege, we are ready to depart at your command." The prince nodded. "Then let us go. We cannot stay in this system much longer." The admiral took his seat and linked with the ship's systems. Transition was marked by a low rumble, signaling their departure. With most of the commanders dismissed, only Redford remained. The prince turned his attention back to Wyatt, signaling him to step closer. "Lieutenant Wyatt, there is someone who wishes to meet you," he said, gesturing to his right. From the shadows emerged two figures. The first was a stunning blonde woman with purple eyes, dressed in a green gown with golden and white trims. Behind her stood a taller woman with blue hair and blue eyes, clad in a red armored suit adorned with her house's crest. The prince introduced them. "Lieutenant Wyatt Staples, allow me to introduce you to the VIP. You saved my sister, the second Princess Clara Astor. Behind her is her bodyguard and a close friend of mine, Cynthia Winfield of House Winfield. You've already met her older sister, Commander Juliana Winfield." The pride and relief in the prince's voice were evident as he introduced the two women. Princess Clara exuded regal grace and intelligence. When she spoke, her voice was clear and melodious, carrying both intensity and elegance. "Lieutenant Staples, I was informed of your bravery in saving my life and that of my friend and subjects. I requested to meet you in person to express my gratitude." Wyatt felt his cheeks flush. He wasn't accustomed to such direct attention from someone so esteemed. Despite his nerves, he managed a respectful salute. "Your Majesty, I am honored by your recognition. Knowing that you and those accompanying you are safe is reward enough." Clara smiled warmly. "You needn't be so nervous. Your gallantry speaks for itself. Commoner or not, you are my savior. I am pleased that my brother rewarded you accordingly. Although I would offer more if I could, I can only extend my gratitude and request that you call me Clara, as all my friends do." Wyatt couldn't help but smile at her genuine demeanor. He felt a sense of relief that there were nobles who were approachable and kind. "In that case, Clara, please call me Wyatt." "It's a pleasure to meet you," he said, extending his hand. A moment later, he retracted it, realizing it might be too forward. To his surprise, the prince chuckled. "You're quite blunt, aren't you, Lieutenant Wyatt?" Wyatt shrugged. "Commoner upbringing, my liege." The prince's laughter was a light-hearted break from the tension. The prince cleared his throat. "As enjoyable as this is, we have matters to attend to. Lieutenant Wyatt, I summoned you not only to meet my sister, but also for your input." A holographic display appeared from the tactical table, showing a map of the principality with various colors and sigils representing different factions. The map was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The prince explained the situation. Duke Draymor's coup had compromised the royal guard and the palace, leading to his self-declaration as regent. Some siblings and members of the Council of Nobles had escaped, but others were held hostage. The map highlighted the areas controlled by Draymor in red, loyalist houses; in gold, undecided houses; in blue, and neutral ones in green. The prince then zoomed in on the system they were to travel to next, Kaon. The plan was to avoid direct Kayston military presence by traveling through a system with minimal pirate activity. Wyatt, however, was asked for his perspective on the best route to House Finnegan territory. Without hesitation, Wyatt pointed to the system on the far left labeled Gin Tracks. "Going through Gin Tracks is the only solution, my liege," Commander Redford interjected. "But there's a strong Kayston military presence there, along with several monitoring stations." Wyatt shrugged. "Only officially. They're always understaffed. The ships stationed there are outdated and take forever to respond. Besides, there's Woodshaft." Claire looked puzzled. "Woodshaft? It's a smuggler's den. Every commoner pilot knows about it and uses it. I've been there a couple of times. It offers a route away from Kayston sensors. If you pay the toll, you can leave the system undetected Smuggling was illegal, but it was a common practice in their backwater system. Cynthia Winfield, with a melodic voice, pointed out, "Smuggling is illegal." Wyatt nodded. "Maybe, but it happens." Woodshaft doesn't deal in slavery or narcotics. They're smugglers, not pirates. The prince considered Wyatt's suggestion. "After we arrive at Faldo, I'll send a scout ship to observe Jintrak's activity. If the information aligns, we'll proceed as you suggested. Time is not on our side." He then turned to Wyatt. "For now, you will follow Commander Redford's orders and be under his charge." Dismissed. As Wyatt watched the map disappear, he couldn't help but feel the weight of the responsibilities and uncertainties ahead.